Hi, this is Mrs. Wyrick, and today we're going over multiplying fractions. As you can see here, we have 1/2 times 1/4. Now that we're in pre-algebra, we use a dot to show multiplication. So what is 1/2 times 1/4? Well, luckily in this problem, there is no simplification to be done. So we can go ahead and just multiply straight across. 1 times 1 equals 1, and 2 times 4 is equal to 8. So our answer for this problem is simply 1/8. However, when we have problems like this, where we can actually simplify, we need to make sure we simplify first in order to make multiplication easier. Now, there are a few ways that you can simplify before you multiply. The first way is to check and see if any of your fractions can actually be simplified before you multiply. In this case, 4/6 can be simplified into 2/3. So you can rewrite this new equation as 2/3 times 2/3. Now that my fractions are simplified, I can simply multiply straight across. 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. 4/9 cannot be simplified, so that's my answer. If you're scared by looking at this problem, that's okay. We're going to do this one together. The first thing I need to remember to do in a case like this where I have two mixed numbered fractions, a whole number and a fraction, is to remember to put them into improper form first. In order to do that, I need to take my denominator, 4, and multiply it times my whole number 1. I do this because I need to figure out how many parts are in that one whole right there. So since there are 4 parts in one whole, I'm going to take 4 times 1, and that's 4. And then I'm going to add on to it how many parts I have that don't make one whole. So after I get 4, I'm going to add this number up here. And that gives me 5. So this fraction, 1 1/4, is also represented by the fraction 5/4. And I need to multiply that times this 2 3/5 written as an improper fraction, which is 5 times 2, just like we did over there on that first part, because there are 5 parts that it takes to make one whole. But this time I have 2 whole, just say pizzas for instance. I have 2 whole pizzas. Each pizza has 5 slices. That means I have 10 slices of pizza. Plus there are 3 pieces of pizza left over in a third pizza. And they don't quite make one whole. I only have 3 pieces. So 5 times 2 is 10. And 10 plus 3 more is 13. So this one has 13/5 as my fraction. Now, the next thing we need to do is to see if we can simplify within this problem. There are some ways you can simplify, either straight up and down within the same fraction, which we can't do here, or you can also look across this way diagonally, one number from the numerator and one number from the denominator. And since we have a 5 in our numerator and a 5 in our denominator, we can go ahead and simplify those using the factor of 5. 5 goes into 5 one time, and 5 goes into this 5 also one time. Now we need to multiply straight across just like we normally would. 1 times 13 is 13. and 4 times 1 is 4. Now sometimes in pre-algebra we leave our answers as improper fractions, and it's completely acceptable. However, if you're taking a multiple choice test and your answers are all written as mixed fractions, you're probably wondering how to get there. In this case, this fraction here is read as a division problem. 13 divided by 4. If I go ahead and put that into my calculator, 13 divided by 4, you will come up with the answer of 3.25. Let's think here. 3.25. That means I have a whole number 3 and 25 hundredths. 25 over 100. That simplifies to 1/4 if your fraction does not do calculators. The other way you can remember this is that since it is a division problem, you can actually write it down. 13 divided by 4. 4 goes into 13 3 times. That gives me 12, and I have 1 left over out of the 4 that it would take to make another whole number. So my answer is 3 and 1/4. Last but not least, let's try this one out. Since my first fraction is already a proper fraction, I can go ahead and leave that alone. And then I need to turn this one into an improper fraction by multiplying 3 times 1, which is 3, plus 1 more, which is 4. So that second fraction becomes 4/3. I can go ahead and multiply these two fractions, but before I do that, I'm going to simplify these two 3's to become 1's because they share a factor of 3. Remember, you can always simplify a fraction vertically or across diagonally as long as you take one number from the numerator and one number from the denominator. Now I can go ahead and multiply straight across. 1 times 4 is 4, and 7 times 1 is 7. So my answer to 3/7 times 1 and 1/3 is 4/7.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.